Hello and welcome to this instruction video where we will look at how to convert data from JSON files to Excel files using the program OpenRefine. You are probably looking at this video from CDMM's instruction videos page, but before we start, there are some basics to look at. You will find this, or you will find the program we are talking about and other details in the data cleaning section. And it is strongly recommended to start there and to read the page JSON extraction to CSV or Excel, because it will give you background on JSON files, what this data format is, and how it may be converted in various ways. None of them are perfect, sure, safe, or necessarily easy. You will also see that the recommended solution from CDMM is the program OpenRefine, and this is what we will take a closer look at now. But it is recommended to start here with this page. And then there's the program OpenRefine. We have a page on that also with a tutorial from the developers. Sadly, that's not a tutorial about JSON files, so you will have to do with ours instead. From here you can open the developer homepage, and there's a nice download button. Press it, and it should now offer you the version suitable for your system. If not, you can find it below. But if everything works as it should, you simply press here, and it will offer to download it somewhere on your computer, in this case on my desktop, and I already did that, so we don't have to wait for that process. And when you have downloaded the file, it's a zip file, the next obvious step is to unpack it, and I did that in advance also. It is here. Inside this folder there's another folder, and inside that folder there's the program. And let's take a look at what happens when we start it. First, a background sort of console opens. This is the program itself. You can see the icon here. And in a moment it opens the user interface. And the user interface will open in your preferred browser. We're getting close. There we are. And this is the user interface where you will work with your files and do operations that will then be done by the program. You can actually monitor them in this background console. But it's only relevant if you have errors that you need to inspect. So there's a few more things to say before we actually start extracting data. And the first is, I have this folder with a JSON sample file that we will use. But the first thing to do before you start working with your data is create a backup. Because if you accidentally do something that changes your backup, your original file, then you will need the backup file. And also you will also always need an original copy of your data if you find that you need to go back and correct an error or extract something again. So backup first, and then we can proceed. And what you do is browse, point to the relevant folder, point to the file you want to work with. It's ready for that, so press next. And here we have a preview of the data as they look in the JSON file, with bits of encoding and with different posts for different types of data. And before we proceed with that, there's a bit more to look at, and that is what we want, what you want as a researcher or a student, if you have a JSON file with data, will be a file that you can work with, where you have the different data posts or types sorted out in columns, and where you will be able to delete irrelevant columns, sort your data, and clean away doubles, correct errors if some signs have been interpreted in a wrong way. You may need to sort your data in various ways. So this is what we want. But if you look at this user interface, you can see there is a predefined way to work with CSV files. The problem is, in this JSON file, everything is ordered in lines, one line for each Twitter post, and you can see there will be a line, there will be another line. If we proceed to try to create a CSV file from this, this is what you get. You get all the data for every post in one line with bits of encoding. You don't get the titles for the columns, such as created as column titles. You get them in the lines, and this won't help you at all. We can close this now. So the point is, this is not the way to proceed. Instead, stay at the JSON file. And you can see here it says, please specify a record path first. If you try to create project, it will say the same. Specify a record path first means specify which type of data, which subtype of data you want to extract. And it's rather obvious to start with the first, created at. So let's press that. And you can now see a preview with a list of creation dates for various Twitter posts. This looks good. You can press Create Project. And now you have this option to export. And I'd recommend exporting to the latest possible version of Excel. And I'll number it. This is my first extraction, and it was creation date. I'll just say date. You could also say timestamp, and save. And now you can see that I have a new file in where I chose to put it in the same file as the original data file. If I open it, I have a column with creation dates and times. So that's nice. But now, because this is a Twitter file, there's a small, the original JSON file is a Twitter file. There's a small caveat. In order to proceed, you can press here, OpenRefine. This works like a local website, and this works like pressing Home. So this is the fastest and easiest way to start over. You have to point out your file again and press Next. So you have now extracted the first column. The next you would obviously try is this one. But I can show you how that will look, because I already tried that. It gives you abbreviated versions of very large numbers, and it is possible to convert these numbers, but unfortunately, this conversion will be rounded. That gave me a lot of problems because I was doing this in order to show others and not in order to do research, so I hadn't read all the details. If you are working with JSON files, whether they are from websites or web crawls or social media, always do thorough reading up on what you are doing and what you are allowed to do and terms and conditions. In this case, I was so lucky that a colleague helped me. If not, I could have used days finding out this. In Twitter's own specifications, it will explain to you that the IDs are very large numbers that may cause problems for various programs, such as JavaScript programs, and OpenRefine is a JavaScript program, and therefore they say, do not use the ID, instead use the ID string, which is the same number but written out as text instead of stored as a mathematical unit. So back to the program user interface. You are simply advised to skip this by Twitter. This is where you will get the ID, so this will be the next data path that I'll choose in this demonstration. Create project, export, latest Excel version, and I'll call this 02, not because it was the second post, but because it is my second extraction, and I'll just call it ID, but because this is the unique Twitter IDs that I would want for this conversion. And now we have it. So go back. And yes, the point here is that you have to do a rather tedious process of copying out your data step by step, one by one. Now we get to one of the exciting ones, the full text. These are the full tweets, but without the background data, which is in the other columns. Export, latest version of Excel. I'll call that 03, text. And go back. Reload your file, press next, and proceed to extract data step by step. And you will see that in some places you can't mark this because this is a part of the JSON encoding. It is not a data post in itself, and you can try to mark this and it will give you an error message because this is not JSON data as such either. So you will find by trial and error that some things can be extracted, and those are the obvious things to extract, of course. There are other ways to convert JSON files to CSV or Excel formats, and this one might work for other JSON files. It just doesn't work for this data set. There are online converters that may do the trick, but usually they don't work if the files are too large or if there are too many posts in them. So generally speaking, this is the safest way to get the data out of your JSON files. And once you have done that step by step, the next step is to collect it, simply copy columns and insert them into a new spreadsheet, and thus you can gather your data, and having done that, you can sort them. Yes, this is a slightly tedious way, but I still hope it helps. Thank you for watching.